is it? So, whoops. This was supposed to come out in like April. But what happened is I decided to watch it with a friend, and we watched about like 36 episodes over 4 months. No, more like 3, but up to August. And then we took like a 2-month break, and I decided, well, I have to do this video, so I should just finish the show. Yeah. So unfortunately, that means that my like memories and thoughts on the show are a bit like there's some distance in between, due to those breaks where I just, wasn't considering the show that much. Like I looked through my notes again, and I can fucking there's some ideas that were brought up early on that I just kind of like forgot about when I watched the last episodes, and now I have to like piece them together after the fact. Unfortunate. So yeah, Kamen Rider Fies, which the show is, I knew a little bit about it before I started it. I guess it's kind of controversial, or it's like it's not very well liked, or it's like, it's not one of the like, this is the show that you need to watch, Kamen Rider. It's not Gaim or Double or Forze or etc. etc. Like, it's not one of the shows that gets recommended a lot, as I know of. That said, it is one of the ones I like. I did enjoy the show. I don't know. I guess as I understand it, like one of the problems people have is the way characters sort of like deal with conflicts and communicate, in that they often don't. They are bad at it. Like, it's very much. I mean, it's very much the point, but it's still. I could absolutely see how it would be frustrating for people. But it also, for me at least, it led to some neat character stuff that I liked. Someone described it as belt jacking the series, since the belts, the Kamen Rider belts, get shuffled around a lot. Like, even up to the last episodes, there were like characters using the belt, you sometimes only once, and like I legitimately think there's probably at least like 3 or 4 characters who use the belt at least once for each one, if not more, or at least try. But yeah, I liked quite a few things about the show. Okay, it is one of the early 2000s ones, so the effects can be a little jank, but they're still like just interesting. They try to do fun or cool visual stuff. Like, one that made me laugh was it was in a character was in a grocery store, and the way the camera was placed I don't know, it was like maybe my memory is wrong, but he had like a bike or a scooter or something that was placed so that it was facing forward onto, like, so you could see the bike or the scooter, and then at some point he ended up running, and like, I don't know, it was just funny. Then there was another just weird looking, like, not weird in a bad way, but more like just like, I saw it and I was just like, who the fuck came up with this? Where it's like, there was recorded footage of someone playing a guitar, because someone was playing a guitar in the show, and it was overlaid, the strings were overlaid with stairs, and like, it was so fucking weird. Like, I was pointing out to my friend because he'd missed it because he'd gone up to get food or something, and I was like, "What the fuck is that?" And it's just like, lots of just weird experimental visual stuff, and it was pretty neat. And like it's such a specific time period where I think nowadays the CG has become, not necessarily great in a lot of instances, but it's like they have the tools, they know how to use them. And, they can only do so much within the, limited time they have to make an episode. Like Dawn Brothers, for example, the current Super Sentai series, uses like motion capture for two of its, the pink and, Black Rangers are literally like done in motion capture, and it's almost always doesn't look like it's jank. It is jank, but like, it's also something that can only be done. Like, I've never seen, like, it look like VTubers. Like, that's where I've seen that kind of, like with Kizuna Ai, like, that's where I've seen that kind of mocap before. But it's, like, I don't know, it's the first time I've seen it in an actual, like, television show or something, and, so it's, like, they're doing something, yeah, so I guess it's still going on, yeah, where they're just constantly, trying to, experiment and see what they can get away with almost, and, how they can do various things. And, yeah, it's just something neat that's still very much here with Fies that I thought was because I think the only other 2000s, pre-2010s writer I've seen is Kuka, and I definitely liked Fies more, and it just, had more going on. And yeah, visually is one of those ways, I think. The characters, how they handled it was interesting because like I was literally confused watching the first episode because the main character that they introduce is not actually the writer, Fies. He's like basically the second most important character in the show, but he's not the main character. So I was like, oh, is this guy gonna be becoming the writer? I'll spoil it a little bit, so just early stuff. But yeah, he fucking dies, becomes the Orphnok, which are the main antagonists of this, or the monsters of the week, sort of typically, and yeah, and he has a whole arc regarding that, and the sort of interplay between humanity and Orphnoks comes up a lot, especially with him, because he's eventually tries to retain his humanity, with varying degrees of success, maybe. And then he gathers up some other Orphnoks with similar outlook, while the main character Takumi, has his own group, and they sort of like, they have, possibly antagonistic, possibly friendly relations based on the characters, and it's just led to a really good dynamic, and I liked it. Kaido especially was a fucking silly man. Keitaro is just a dope. Mario was good. Masato, piece of shit. Yeah, I mean, he had reasons to be a piece of shit, but just like, again, the way that the show resolves conflicts, I won't go into it without spoilers, but it leads to some interesting moments for sure. But yeah, I guess I'm still at the point with Rider where I've seen enough series, I feel like, because I've watched, hold on, let me think which ones I've watched. I watched like a third of V3, didn't like it, and then I've seen Kuga, Fies, Xaid, Build, Saber. Yeah, I skipped Zeo, and I just didn't watch 01, I guess. Then Revice, and I'm caught up with Geats. And I don't know. Oh, Double. I've seen Double. I forgot Double. And technically Futo Tante as well. But it's like, I don't know. I just haven't clicked with the Kamen Rider series yet. In a way, like with Ultraman, even though I think, like, with one exception, I think I like the average Kamen Rider series more than I like the average Ultra series. But like in both franchises, I only have one show that I would rate as like a 9 out of 10, like is one of my favorites, and that's Geed, Ultraman Geed, which I did the video on, where I don't have a Kamen Rider or another Ultraman series that I feel that way about, where with Super Sentai, like, and maybe it's because I grew up with Power Rangers, but Super Sentai just really clicks with me, and I tend to like the average Super Sentai series more, for some reason, so I'm just waiting for the Kamen Rider show that clicks with me, and I don't know when it will be. But this was definitely getting there. Maybe if I rewatch it, I'll like this one more, because again, I just had that disconnected viewing experience by spending, like, I did start it in April when it was voted on the poll, and I finished it in October, so it took like half a year to watch the show, which, I mean, is still shorter than watching a Kamen Rider series, but like, it wasn't a constant drip feed. Like with Revised or Saber, I watched them weekly, and I got a little bit of each week, basically, where with Fies, again, there was at least 1 2-month period where I didn't get any. So I don't know. Maybe my feelings won't change on it that much, but yeah. So moving into spoilers, I'll actually talk about, because the reason I was, specifically the person who requested Fies didn't request Fies. They wanted me to watch Paradise Lost, the film, which I think they said that they could be watched standalone, but I just wanted to watch Fies because I like completing things, and I don't know, watching a spin-off movie for a thing I haven't seen, it felt weird to me. So, yeah, I don't think I would have liked the movie as much if I had not seen and understood the characters better. But the movie, probably my favorite Rider movie so far. Like, the only one that I would consider close would be the Double Decade crossover film, but I didn't actually see that one in full, because Double is weird, where it's like, the movie is really, it's like, okay, so the first 40 minutes are like literally just like a Kamen Rider Double two-parter. Then the next 40 minutes are Decade stuff, which I skipped because I haven't seen Decade. Then the last 20 minutes are the climax that ties together both, which partly did make sense because I hadn't actually seen the Decade part. But the stuff it does for Double is like, it literally wraps up character stuff that needed that probably should have been wrapped up. And so it's good that it does that. It just does so in a movie that like I didn't want to watch all of because I haven't seen Decade. So that Double stuff was really good, but it's not like, that's, so I just say that's why I say it's my second favorite in part. I think I still like Paradise Lost better, even considering just the Double stuff in that movie, but it's just like, I was just looking down the list of the Rider movies I've seen, and it's like, Oh yeah, that the Paradise Lost easily is the best. You know, the only one closest, a movie I've only half seen. um, so, but yeah, it's like the premise where it's like Orphnox are winning the war, humans are the minority now. It's like basically post-apocalypse. Then like the production was really good. Like there were so many new and unique like Orphnox costumes. Like at towards the end there was a stadium that was like, I don't think it was completely full of people, but maybe it just stood out to me because like watching the Tokushows weekly for the last you know since yeah, I think it would have been Kira Majir when after I caught up, because I did put down Ryu Soldier for a little bit, and then Saber. So, but both of those shows coming out since 2020 where COVID was a thing, and that has impacted productions and made it harder for live action things to have scenes with lots of people in them. Maybe that's just skewing my perception, but it's like, it's still like that, they had to rent out the stadium and hire that many extras. Like, that's quite a large, I don't know. And then just, obviously new costumes and stuff, like that's normal for the movies, but I just felt like, I don't know, it's just a bigger bump in production than I was expecting. And yeah, I'm getting into spoilers here. Like this is kind of my after I finish Paradise Lost, I'll get into just talking about Fies fully and openly with spoilers, but yeah, it was just really neat to see this alternate take on like what an ending for the series could be like. So I did. Okay, because like I think I vaguely heard about it, which might have like skewed my prediction basically. But I remember someone bringing up how the movie sort of spoils something for the series, and I'd actually kind of I think it was as soon as when the second person who was able to use the Fies belt, which I want to say was Kaido, used it, and I kind of realized, oh, I think the reason Mari can't use the Fies belt is because she's not an Orphnox. Orphnox can use the belt. Therefore, Takumi is probably an Orphnox. And I felt that made sense because like his whole character is like, he runs away from things. Like the opening even has the line, "Where can we flee when there is no place left to go?" In the earthly translation that I watched. Like Takumi just kind of like, he avoids conflict. He just, when something gets difficult, he tends to run away. Like we start at the series that he's on the road from, like we never actually find out his backstory and how he became an Orphnox, and like what was he running away from, and which I'll talk about that a little bit later. But like, his whole arc was like learning to stay in place and protect what he cares about. And like, oh yeah, that's another moment of that where that really stuck out to me is when Keitaro, because Keitaro had his whole thing with Yuka, and Takumi found out that she was an Orphnox, and instead of, again, a communication problem, instead of just telling him that, hey, she's an Orphnox, that's going to cause problems, just letting you know, instead of saying that, he was like, just don't talk to her, avoid her. And like, Keitaro was like, what the fuck, man, I'm not going to do that. Because like, for Takumi, that's the easy thing to do. Just run away, avoid pain, avoid the, conflict and such. But just because it works for him doesn't mean it works for everybody. And there he was trying to suggest that to Keitaro because, like, well, that would be the easiest thing. Keitaro just runs away like he does. He doesn't talk to Yuka again, and nothing bad happens. But, like, obviously that's not necessarily a great way to live your life. And, Keitaro, like, he, does find out she's an Orphnox, and, like, like, he's still able to, like, it doesn't ruin him, right? Like him not running away, he's not like, he's not the kind of person that Takumi, even Takumi isn't that kind of person, but like, they're able to overcome their individual pain. But anyway, so basically, like, knowing Takumi's character and how he runs away, like, it made sense. Like, he might have even not known he was an Orphnox. Like, I would have bought that because, like, the way that they just, like, because how you become an Orphnox, it looked like, is that you're a lonely person who dies, but then you come back as an Orphnox. So it's like Takumi could have literally like gotten into a motorcycle accident, died, become an Orphnox, and not even realized it. Like, they could have pulled that if they, and I would have bought it, is more what I'm saying. Like, so when he became an Orphnox, I was like, yeah, they've revealed the thing that I was predicting. But again, I might have been spoiled on it and sort of like been partly remember that without remembering it, if that makes sense. But yeah, of course, Yuji, I think, is good because he sort of, I would say he represents sort of the, like, he's a negative extreme in the other direction of Takumi's negative extreme, where he kind of, like, he needs, like, where Takumi was able to run from companionship and making these bonds, Yuji needs these bonds. And in both, like, the thing that pushes him over the deep end in the actual series is when Yuka dies, and that's where he decides that humanity and Orthodox can't coexist. Where in the movie, basically the same thing happens. He loses his companions and he goes off the deep end, and he can't take the loss at all. Like, he's basically represents why Takumi runs. Like, Takumi runs because he doesn't want to become, like, not literally, but like he doesn't want to become someone like Yuji, who just can't take the pain for whatever reason or however he would react that way. But as Takumi, I guess I ended up talking about the series through Paradise Lost, because, like, it basically carries all the same ideas. Like, I guess I did find Paradise Lost more satisfying than the actual ending to Faiz, but, like, again, with my disconnected viewing of Faiz, like, I watched Paradise Lost way back, like, way closer to when I was actually watching Faiz, before that 2-month gap that kind of might have killed, I don't know, hurt some of my enjoyment of the series, perhaps. But, like, but yeah, Paradise Lost was super good. But yeah, I guess as far as the disconnect goes, probably the area I noticed that the most, I think, was the whole ideas with dreams, where, like, as it starts out, like, Kaido lost his dream because his hand was broken, and, so he ran away, and he just, like, became a nihilist pretty much, and didn't like living, where, Keizoro had a dream that was kind of, like, incredibly unrealistic, and, Takumi eventually decides that he wants to protect other people's dreams because he doesn't have one himself. And I noted that all down at the beginning. Then I took my 2-month break, and then I watched the ending, and, like, yeah, Takumi finally, he found his dream. He just took on Keitoro's dream. He's not running anymore, and he's just, like, Keitoro's, optimism and hope has spread, and Takumi was able to, after, standing and protecting what he cares about, right? But, like, I wasn't focusing on the dream angle that much towards the end, because that wasn't what strongly stuck with me from the first part, where I think Takumi, the distance and the hedgehog dilemma kind of aspect did stick with me more with Five. So I was, focusing on that, even though it wasn't as big, I guess. So it's like, I just feel like I might have missed some things regarding piecing together, like, and I guess in general, maybe the ending of the TV series, it just felt like there was a lot going on, and maybe I just didn't pick up on some stuff, but, like, it just felt like, I don't know, I guess it didn't resolve everything in a way that completely satisfied me. Like, maybe it was doing a little bit too much for me to feel like, I don't know. Maybe I just thought the race war was a little, out. I was out of it for that aspect, just because, like, I don't know. Yeah, just some things didn't work for me. Oh yeah, and I guess I didn't talk about Masato that much. Like, he makes sense now, where it's like, he didn't trust Orphnox because he thought Takumi had attacked the meeting when it was actually the fuckboy. I'm laughing because it's like, this guy, I don't know, they obviously made this villain to be cast him and dressed him to be, like, attractive. Because moms watch these shows with their sons, so they put in handsome ass male actors, right? Like, hello. Like, I actually remember hearing that Lupin Ranger versus Power Ranger was very popular with women, probably Fujoshis, who ship the Keiichiro and Kairi because hate love, and he's chasing him. That's so romantic, and it's like, oh god, it's funny. Also my favorite Toku, but anyway. But right, so anyway, Masato, because of that, and also, like, there's a lot of fucked up shit going on, and so Masato had just a complete distrust of the Orphnox. So, like, but through most of the series you don't know that, so he's just being an asshole for apparently no reason. Like, he was flashing these evil smiles and, like, trying to get good with Mari while throwing Takumi under the bus, and of course he's bad at conflict resolution, so instead of just being honest, he just avoided things. And, like, god, also, like, sorry, I just remembered when, as Masato was first getting introduced, when Takumi just, like, had this need for validation, and he was, like, he just, like, walked up to the tennis court, played badly, and then walked away. He's just so, he's so funny. I love Takumi. But yeah, I guess there's also the aspect of, like, the Orthodox will all die, and like, you know, it's even implied at the end that like Takumi literally could have died in the last scene, like just lied down and you know, which I don't know how I feel about that. And yeah, there's the self-acceptance where it's like both Yuji and shit, what was his name? Mari's dad and everyone, the dad, the former CEO of the company, you know, like they both wanted like an absolute destruction of one of the sides of the conflict. Like, and Masada took on that will, and you know, it doesn't end well for them. Where Takumi is able to accept both humans and Orphnox pretty much, even though like, you know, he fights against Orphnox pretty much, but you know, he stops wanting to die, I'm pretty sure, but like, you know, I don't know. I have to think about it more, and there might have just been stuff I missed, because, I don't know, it was a lot all at once towards the end, I feel like. But again, that might have just been the way I watched it. But yeah, I guess another moment that I liked as far as like Takumi's character arc is like after Masato died, like yeah, he was kind of avoiding it for a little bit, but then when it like came up, when, you know, he came in and Mari had the plate of food, he just like, he's dead. Like, he didn't avoid talking about it like he did with Yuka being an Orphnock and Keitaro. He just like, here's the truth, even if it hurts. Like, he's, you know, willing to, you know, cause pain and, you know, even perhaps feel pain, but if it means keeping the bond, and or, you know, and just like, yeah, I guess that's most, you know, I just like, I mostly like the cast of characters. Like, I, you know, generally enjoyed them, and there was some good stuff. I'm probably going to be due for a rewatch in a few years, but lots of other Rider to check out as well. So, yeah, Rider.